Okay, so today we're going to be talking with Ryan from Lumentek Electrical. He's an electrical contractor out of Red Deer and all of Central Alberta. And we're just going to be talking about things that he's got up to this week, different customers that he's helped, and maybe he can help you as well. So Ryan, let's get started. So what kind of jobs did you do this week?
This week we have done a garage we wired for a customer. We've done some permanent Christmas lights and a few service calls.
Okay, let's talk about the garage wiring. So what goes into garage wiring? How do you start? And yeah, let's talk about the process a bit.
Biggest thing is we talk to the customer, see what they're looking for in a garage. And then we kind of work backwards from there to determine what size service we're going to run to the garage, how big of a panel, all that.
Okay, so what are some of the things that people can ask for in a garage?
A lot of the time people want a welding outlet or electric heat in there if they're not going to do gas. So we'll run a heater circuit for that, put a thermostat in, and then a lot of the time if people are running saws and tools like that use a fair bit of power, we'll run dedicated outlets to different parts of the garage so they can kind of plan out their workstation and not have to worry about tripping anything.
Gotcha. Yeah, though I always thought that was funny because when I was an electrician, I did a lot of the same work that you do. And they'd always ask for a welding outlet. I'm thinking, what the heck are people welding in their garage, like in a residential neighborhood? Like, really, what are you doing? So must be people just tinkering or they think they need a welder or I don't know.
Yeah, they usually want a welder and then it's I think it's just they want the power in there so they can get one, but they never actually end up buying one.
They never get one. When you can get a 120 volt welder and probably weld anything you need to in there, right?
Yeah.
So what are some other things? We've got welder, we've got possibly some table saws. What are some other things that they might want to do in their garage?
A lot of people put upgraded lighting in there. They'll go with some bigger fixtures to really brighten it up. Typical garages, if they're just using it for storage or to keep a car in there, we'll just put a couple basic fixtures in there just to kind of see what you're doing. But if someone's going to be working in there, that's usually something they'll look at doing is putting some bigger lights in there and have it really bright. We put exhaust fans in every once in a while if someone is actually going to weld in there. Right. Get the fumes out. And keeps the humidity out as well. So we'll usually wire that into a sensor. So if it gets humid in there from the snow melting off your car, it will turn the exhaust fan on and dry it out a bit.
Now, do you hook those up to a CO sensor as well, or just mostly humidity?
Just humidity.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what other things besides? I guess there's a garage door that has to go in there. Maybe some carriage lighting. Is there anything else that they would like on their garage that maybe people haven't thought of? Or what's the weirdest thing you've ever seen someone ask for in a garage?
Lots of weird stuff. One guy wanted to wire a hot tub in his garage. And we were like, you got like 3 acres, but you put it outside, and they just were dead set on having it inside. That was probably the weirdest thing we put in the garage. A lot of the time it's car hoists, welders, stuff like that. A lot of exterior lighting too, so motion lights outside for security, and if you're coming home late at night, it's nice to be able to see in front of your garage door too to make sure that there's nothing in the way. Stuff like that.
And with that, of course, there's different outlets that you got to put in there for code reasons, right?
Yeah.
Garages and stuff. So apart from that, garages are pretty simple, but there could be some pretty extra requests that you might have for your electrician. Like Ryan here, in case you want to get that extra hot tub or sauna put in your garage, you can just ask your electrician, right? Now, is there any special permitting that you have to do? I know you're in Red Deer, an area like. Is it different between Red Deer proper as opposed to in the rural areas around there?
Not really. It's just who you call for your permit. If you're in the county, obviously you're calling the county. If you're in town, you got to call City of Red Deer. For the building side of it, you just need your building permit and all that kind of stuff with actually building a structure. But for electrical, it's just an electrical permit. They don't need any drawings or anything like that. The code's pretty self-explanatory for what needs to go in a garage. Okay, now
obviously you need to get power from somewhere, so it's either got to come from your house or sometimes the service is on the garage itself. So let's talk about that scenario. So let's say you are, you have a back lane and you've got power coming from the pole and it's going to your garage. Like, how do you deal with that?
We've done a few where if someone's running a business out of the garage, they need a lot of power. We will interrupt the service to the house and we'll have it go to the garage first, and then we'll run treat the house basically as a sub panel from the garage, and that way they can run whatever they want in there, and they don't have to worry about having the service too small coming from the house.
And yeah, so that's, switching the service from the house to the garage, and then you basically put like a 100 amp breaker from your garage to your house, and that kind of takes care
And
of
it's
that
nice
stuff.
too if you have an overhead service, you can cut it back and then go underground from the garage to the house, so you get one less cable going overhead.
Yeah,
Just cleans it up a bit.
so you're cleaning up the yard, and you don't have to worry about cutting trees or any of that sort of thing.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Which sometimes comes into play. You either have to cut a tree down or remove some limbs or call someone to do that, so that you're not running into those issues with that. So what other things have you done this week?
We did some permanent Christmas lights. Let's
Okay.
do that out in Sylvan Lake.
Permanent Christmas lights. Tell me a story about permanent Christmas lights. I learned about that this year.
Oh, really?
Actually. Yeah, I never knew that was a thing until this year. I have you, and then I have another client who only does that in Edmonton.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So tell me about permanent Christmas lights, and what's your story?
We kind of came into that by accident, to be honest. We did my house, and a couple of customers were asking about it, and we kind of thought that'd be the end of it, and it's been crazy busy. A lot of people want them, and
Okay.
it's one of those things we'll be doing someone's house, and all the neighbors be walking their dog asking for a card or asking if we can come over and do a quote for them. They're pretty cool. Like you can, basically if you can think about what you want the lights to do, you can do it in the app.
Nice.
Anyone can use it. It's nice and simple, which is nice. It's not, you don't have to be a software engineer to turn your lights on.
You can just turn them on and off. Like I've got these lights back here. They just work off of an app. Same kind of idea. You got an app on your phone. You sell Celebrite brand lights. And where do they come from? Where are they made?
They're in Ontario, so it's nice. They're a Canadian company. It's about 2 weeks from the time that someone goes ahead with the job till we can install, usually just with the shipping. They're pretty cool. Like you can set any color you can think of, any pattern. If they've got a whole pattern library, a bunch, like every sports team, holiday, like anything you can think of. If it's not in there, you can just make your own. They're pretty cool. It knows your location, so you can set it to be dawn to dusk. It will adjust throughout the year, so it's not coming on at 4 p.m. when it's August. When it gets darker earlier, it'll come on earlier that day. And
Nice.
they're pretty cool that way. You can just set your schedule up with it and forget about it.
And so with these lights, is each light programmable? Do they each have their own address, or how does that work?
Yeah, each light's programmed in. So if you have a peak above your garage, you can set individual lights. So it looks like you have pot lights, and then if it like wraps around the corners and you want the spacing to be different, you can do that. That's kind of a unique feature to Celebrate. A lot of the other competitors, you can set every 10 lights or every 5 lights, but you can't choose to have 5 off, 1 on, and then 20 off, and 1 on, or whatever.
Right.
You get a lot more flexibility with that.
Okay, so you have a lot of different options with the Celebrite brand.
Yeah.
What other, do they have any other lights that you can use? Like, do they have landscape lighting or walkway lighting, or is it all just like soffit fascia type stuff?
Yeah, it's mostly soffit fascia, but they do have they're up to 16 different track profiles now.
Okay.
So if you don't have the standard fascia soffit like 90% of houses have, there's a track option that will fit. We've yet to find a house we can't put track on.
Okay, and do you do mainly just the front side of the house, back side of the house, like the whole thing? Like, what do you typically do?
We normally just do the front. That's what most people want, and we'll just wrap around the corners 6 feet or so, usually just to a downspout, and we find that's a nice spot to cap the lights off. But we've done 360 degrees around houses before, to the back, and around the garage door.
And does it work with Alexa and these other like Google Play apps, or works with those? So you can say turn on the lights, turn off the lights, that kind of thing. Nice. So permanent Christmas lights is one thing. Have you done any of those recently?
Today.
You did one today. All right. So tell me about that process. How long does it take to quote the job, or do you charge per linear foot, per hour? Like, how does it work?
We charge basically by foot, but the per foot cost varies based on the difficulty of the house. So if you have a very simple, like a bungalow with just a flat roof or a flat fascia line, it's quite cheap. But when you get into the more detailed roofs where you have multiple peaks and we got to get wires from point A to point B, but you can't see them, so it's a lot more time. Those get a little more expensive, but generally it's per foot, and it kind of varies a little bit on difficulty of installation.
Okay, and then once you give somebody a quote, then how long is it before you can actually install that product?
Usually about 2 weeks. It really depends on shipping out of Ontario,
Okay.
but typically it's about 2 weeks from the time that they decide to go ahead with the job till we can install.
All right. The other question I've got is, what is the warranty like on Celebrate lights, and then what is your warranty, I guess, as Lumentek, as the installer?
We do 5-year warranty on all the parts, and that's 1 year for labor.
Okay, so the parts are good for 5 years, but your labor is good for 1. So if anything happens between like after year 1, is it a charge to come and fix it, or how does that work?
It's just labor. We just charge an hour to come out and fix it.
Okay.
Usually the repair is pretty quick. It's just a matter of setting up, getting the ladders set up, getting up to the lights, and then troubleshooting. But usually the lights are pretty simple. It doesn't take too long to fix it.
Right. Okay. Now, what is the? We have pretty vast temperatures here in Alberta, so let's talk about that. So -40, +40, like we can have that full range.
Yeah.
How good are these lights? How long do they last?
They're pretty good. Like we've done quite a few houses. Maybe 1 out of every 20 houses will have a problem, and it's usually a component that will fail the first week or so it's installed, and we swap the part out that's bad, and that's usually the end of the issue. The temperature is good. Like their Celebrate lights are sold in Mexico, they're sold in Canada. Like you get every kind of temperature.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that was important. Like when we were looking at what brand to go with, that was a big factor. Is that a lot of them they're rated to -20 Celsius. And it's like, well, what do you do? Like, do you just not use them at that temperature, or do they break below that? And no one could really give you an answer.
Yeah. All depends on the quality of construction, type of materials. What about things like harsh weather, like wind and snow and all that kind of stuff?
They're pretty good. The way that they're mounted, they're underneath the soffit, so they shouldn't ever get hit with any kind of water or anything like that. But if they do, they're all epoxy filled, they're all sealed. There's every fitting that goes in, there's a rubber gasket in there, a little O-ring that seals up, and the connectors all screw together. There's no way that water can get in there, and if it does, it's all epoxy filled and sealed anyways.
Okay, so there's no big issues with any of that stuff. So pretty good component. And the beautiful thing about them is you get them on your house and you're not having to go up on a ladder in fall and hang up Christmas lights and do all that stuff. Now, all the things around your yard and whatnot, you don't handle that, but at least the main effect on the house is taken care of. So, I mean, if you don't want to do the extra stuff, you don't have to, but I mean, it's kind of cool to be able to do. I'd probably be very obnoxious if I had those lights.
Yeah, we are.
Because, the neighbors would be like, what is he doing now? Like, I'd be having, all kinds of strobe stuff happening, and it'd just be weird. It'd be like Halloween all the time. Just to annoy the neighbors, probably, but no, I'd just be playing with it. I'd be out in the dark and just goofing around with it, making up different patterns and stuff. And so I know that if I had it, the power in the wrong hands would probably get me in trouble with the neighbors.
Phone calls.
Yeah, what's that?
I'd probably be getting phone calls.
I'd be getting phone calls, yeah. What are you doing with the lights? You're keeping me up at night. But that's fun. Say, hey, you should get some for yourself, and we'll have like light wars. Anyway, what else have you been up to this week?
We did some service calls. A couple of people have had plugs stop working just from running air conditioners and stuff.
Okay.
And
plugs stop working from running air conditioners. Okay, back up.
So
the math isn't mathing on that. What happened there?
The portable ACs draw quite a bit of power.
Oh, okay.
So people quick wire their plugs, not wrapping the screws around the terminals and just sticking them through the quick wires. The excess current from the ACs has been overloading some of them and causing plugs to stop working.
Okay, gotcha. So the AC was overheating the plug because the plug used the quick connects in the back, stopped working. So not necessarily the breaker tripping because of over current. It was mainly just overheating and stopped not functioning.
The circuit would lose continuity and it would open up, and then you'd end up with plugs that weren't working. Usually the call from the customer is that half the plugs in the room stopped working.
Gotcha.
And it's almost always an air conditioner or a space heater.
Gotcha. So guys, when you have a space heater, air conditioner, and you have that issue come up, don't go opening the receptacle on your own, because you don't know what you're doing, and it could probably, you could potentially hurt yourself. Even though the plug doesn't seem to be working, there still could be power live in the wires behind in the box. All right.
Yeah. A lot of the time, for whatever reason it happens, it almost always is a neutral that is what opens, and there's no rhyme or reason to why it's a neutral, but it's scary because if you pull that plug out thinking there's no power because it's not working, there still is power there. It's just not proper.
Yeah,
it's not.
It's just not completely.
Enough that it'll work, but
yeah.
there still is power there. You can still shock yourself on it.
Yeah, you can still do that. So, and you can also like blow up tools, sparks, all these types of things that happen. I know I've blown up more than one screwdriver in my life. How about yourself?
Quite a bit.
Yeah. So the worst is your clients when you hit a circuit and you're like, I thought.
It's a $70 mistake.
Yeah, $70 pair of pliers gone. Oh, now it's a wire stripper. Perfect. So anyways, electrician jokes. What else have you been up to this week, man? Going on?
Had a little bit of work in a restaurant. They had some plugs not working, so we went in, swapped those out. Same thing, the restaurant equipment uses a lot of power, so those plugs are used to their max capacity all the time. Just takes a few years and they wear out. They just weren't holding the plug receptacle ends properly and they're falling out.
Gotcha. Is there any way to avoid that? Like, is there a better type of receptacle you can buy that is rated at a higher temperature or load so that that doesn't happen? I think there is a difference between like residential grade and you get commercial grade.
Yeah, commercial grade's definitely quite a bit better. Like you can tell when you're just holding the two plugs, it weighs twice as much. They're a pretty solid plug. A lot of the time, they are more expensive. So a lot of the time you get into places, they haven't used them just to try to save a bit of money on building everything. And that's usually when it fails, is when you're using a big appliance on a residential grade plug. Right.
So note to self and to the audience out there, if you are using something that takes, a lot of use, maybe upgrade to the commercial grade of stuff because it's just built better, built stronger, built to last, can handle the temperature for longer as you're using it. What other tips would you give to folks out there?
When you have something plugged in, make sure the cord's not being strained. So if it's being pulled on or stuff kicking, like people walking by and kicking it all the time, that's going to wear the plug out over time as well. So try to have it somewhere where the plug's not going to be pulled on as often. And that's one of the biggest things when the cords get pulled on and overloading them.
Cool. All right. So what else is new and exciting with Lumentek? You have a great deal right now. I was talking with your accountant, your CPA, earlier this week, and he was saying that you got a really great deal. Maybe tell folks about it.
Yeah, we've got a $95 service call right now, anywhere in Red Deer in central Alberta. It's $95, it gets you an hour worth of labor. It's perfect for a light fixture changed. If you have circuits that aren't working, anything like that, give us a call.
All right, $95, 1 hour. And then if it goes over that hour, what is it from there?
It's $90 an hour from there on.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then is there any service like truck charge or call out charge or any of that kind of stuff?
Like that.
No, so that's a really
Parts,
good deal.
if you need any parts, but most of the time the parts aren't too bad.
Yeah.
A couple plugs or switch.
Cool. Well, that's an amazing price, an amazing offer, and I think that you should call Ryan from Lumentek and get your stuff looked at, get a good quote from him for anything you might need. Now, some things that you also do is service upgrades and panel upgrades. Have you done any of those this week?
Not this week.
No.
We do have one lined up for next week.
Okay.
And,
Great. Well, service upgrades and panel upgrades are a big deal. Mainly, who's the people who are looking for a panel upgrade or a service upgrade?
A lot of the time it's older homes because the panels weren't sized for what people need now for electricity. Older homes, a lot of acreages right now, it seems like. People are having issues with the 1960s panels.
What? Really?
They're getting frustrated resetting breakers constantly. So.
Yeah,
we've been doing a lot of those, and it's nice when you get it upgraded too, because we're also going to lift the service up, so your service isn't like just above your deck. It'll be proper height. It'll be safe. You don't have to worry about anything catching it, pulling it down.
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah. So getting a new panel, getting a new service, these things are all what you guys do. I think that's been good. Good conversation today, and I think we've got a great video for people to get a lot of information on a number of the things that you do. And look forward to talking to you again next time.
Thank you.